America's future will be determined by your dreams and your visions.
For some of you will travel where no man has ever traveled before. Some of you will fly the fastest planes that have ever been built, reach the highest altitude that man has ever gone to.
Whether you serve in the skies above or on the ground below, each of you has stepped forward to defend your country.
The American people support you. They are counting on you, and they believe you truly do represent the best of America.
Y'all can take your seats. I'm not that important. All right, good morning. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Adam Bingham from Seminar 2. What's up, guys? Socrates once said, "I am certain that I am not certain about very many things. But the one thing I'm certain about right here, right now, is that there's no place all of you would rather be than right here in Bliss Hall at 0800, celebrating the Air Force's birthday. Thanks for joining us. I know it wasn't optional, so we appreciate it. Hey, out of 26 airmen attending Army War College this year, I was handpicked, selected in a boarded process to give this brief right here and right now. But the joke's on the other 25, because what they don't realize is that by fulfilling this requirement, my SRP just went from 20 pages to 5. And I'd like to thank the Commandant for approving that. Today we celebrate 71 glorious years of our United States Air Force. Or as our mantra says, happily divorced since 1947. But what comes around goes around. Pew, pew. All right, y'all know the difference between a pilot and jet engine noise? When the plane lands, the jet engine stops whining. But we're not all pilots. What we are is 670,000 airmen that care deeply about the nation. And we dominate in space, cyberspace, and air. And each of the 26 of us here, right here at Army War College, represent one of those domains that does exactly that. When is the last time on the battlefield you heard jet noise and looked up and wonder who it belonged to? Well, since the 15th of April, 1953, which is the last date that a U.S. service member was killed by enemy air action, you haven't had to. And that is air superiority. And we're extremely proud of that. It's one of the reasons that we're here this year to get strategically better at that. Better together. But we're only one piece of that puzzle, and it takes a joint environment to get it done. Our chief, General Goldfein, sums it up best.
And one of the things that has not changed over the history of warfare is that we succeed as a joint and coalition team based on building trust and confidence at the tactical, operational, and strategic levels. And we do our best work as a nation when all of those cultures are in the room, at the table, at the level of campaign design. And we're arguing this out in ways that optimizes each of the components that comes together into a truly joint plan, and then we execute that plan against the enemy. We have integrated to the point that now we could not do the business of the United States and our defense without our active guard and reserve components all intermixed. So the nation requires airmen who can step up and be able to not only support but lead the campaigns that may be required, to include all of the humanitarian relief kind of JTFs that we stood up as well. It means that we've got to continue to strengthen joint leaders and teams that can step in and provide an airman's voice in the dialogue as we go forward.
Okay, so I'm halfway through the brief. Speaking of which, you know what a pilot says halfway through a date? Enough about flying, let's talk about me. On our birthdays, we celebrate ourselves, but we also reflect. We reflect on those that influence us and those that have shaped us over the years. We really honor our heroes because they matter. And you know, each service has like an icon that we all kind of look at, and they represent who we are. So let's take a look at them. And at this point, service spirit is highly encouraged. I'll be giving awards out at the end. First, our Marines. No Semper Fi? There we go, hoorah. Thanks for giving us Gomer Pyle. It's fantastic. Can someone ring a bell for the Navy? That cue didn't work out so well, Steve Wick. All right, there it is. Navy, let's face it, you're no one without Tom Cruise. And then we have our Coastie. I think there's one here with us this year. They're always ready. Kevin Costner was fantastic in The Guardian. And then, of course, the vast majority of you, Corporal Klinger from MASH. But Air Power is no exception, and can you believe it? We gave you Chappie and Doug McMasters. And as a young kid, I was mesmerized by Doug McMasters, that he couldn't drive a vehicle, yet he could get in an F-16, strap a cassette tape to his leg, and do strafing runs across a range in an F-16 with his father by his side. Absolutely amazing. So many heroes we could talk about today, but in all seriousness, oh, sorry about that. In all seriousness, I'd like to highlight one that didn't just strengthen the joint environment, but strengthened the world.
I ran around the opposite side of the field from the terminal building, and suddenly, right in front of me, I was aware that there were 30 kids plastered right up against the barbed wire. And I was there, and I got so interested in them, and they were encouraging me. They said, hey, you know, it's July. You just wait till fall and winter comes. You're not going to be able to get in here. But when that happens, don't give up on us. We can live without everything we want to eat if someday we have our freedom. 8 to 14 years old, these kids were telling me, an American, what freedom meant. I couldn't believe it. Little voice said, boy, these kids are unusual. How come? And I said, well, they know freedom's more important than flour. These kids had no gum, no chocolate for months, not enough to eat. And I suddenly realized that not one of 30 kids had put out their hand, or by voice inflection, triggered me to say, hey, these kids like some chocolate, dummy. That restraint, I couldn't believe that maturity, that not one would break ranks. And because it didn't, and when I realized that, it blew my mind. I reached my pocket, and all it has 2 sticks of gum. Double mint, Wrigley's double mint gum. I said, try and give them that. You're going to have bloody noses. You're going to have a fight. Get out of here. But they didn't. They were asking for something, and then it was obvious. They wanted a piece of wrapper. And the guys and gals that got half a stick of gum tore off the outer wrapper and the tin foil and passed it to the other kids. And the kids that didn't get any gum took that piece of paper and held it up to their nose and smelled it and smelled it. Just the smell on a piece of paper. I just stood there dumbfounded. I just couldn't believe it. I said, boy, I got to do something for these guys. And about that time, an airplane came over my head and landed right behind me, taking pictures, and I got an idea. I said, boy, I can deliver tomorrow to these same kids without losing any sleep. I can drop it out of the airplane. Then the red light came on. You can't do that. You got to have permission for something like that. Then I rationalized. And that's how you get in trouble. Rationalize. I said, you know, this airlift's not according to Hoyle. Starving 2 million people, what's a few sticks of gum, you know? I said, say, kids, just come back here tomorrow, and I'm going to drop enough out of my airplane that if you'll share it, enough gum for all of you to share it, if you'll do that. Oh, boy, they just blew up. Jawohl, 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 we'll do it. And so I started running. I said, wait a minute. And I said, what's the matter? Got to know what airplane you're in. Every few minutes an airplane comes in, we can't watch them all. Tiny package, got to know the airplane. I told the kids, when I come over the airport first, I have to come over a beacon over the airport. When I come over that at first, if you can see me not in the clouds, I'll wiggle the wings of that big airplane. When you see the 4-engine airplane wings wiggle, that's got the stuff. Just watch that one airplane. So I went back to Rhine Mine. I went to the base exchange, bought all of it, candy and chocolate and gum I could. And I went to my co-pilot engineer and I said, "Got to have your ration." They gave it to me. Had candy bars and gum, a big double handful. And boy, that's heavy. And I smelled that, I couldn't wait to get back. And I hit my head with that going 110 miles an hour, make the wrong impression. Could be going fast right over their heads, about 100 feet in the air. And then I got the idea to put handkerchief parachutes on it. Next day, about forenoon, still a good day. Look down there, there's those 30 kids riding a bunch. They didn't tell another soul. I wiggled the wings and they just blew up. Taxi out to take off along the barbed wire, and there were 3 handkerchiefs waving through the barbed wire at all the airplanes. And their mouths were going up and down, and they shared it. And they were waving like crazy. And so we waved back at them.
The first time I saw those parachutes coming down, and then realizing, you know, that there were chocolates, I thought, wow, you know.
It wasn't the candy that was important. What was important was that somebody in America knew I was in trouble, and somebody cared.
The children of post-war Germany would never forget the tender miracle of Gail Hal Halverson of Garland, Utah, the candy bomber.
Believe it or not, the candy bomber wanted to be here live with you all today. But 30 minutes ago, he boarded an aircraft from Baltimore to Germany, and he's on his way to Germany to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Berlin airlift. He did, however, want to share a special message with the students here today.
Well, I'm Gail Halverson here, and want to wish the Air Force a happy birthday. We all have them, and the more, every time we get one, we're happy with what's happening. We hope we are. At least as we go through life, we improve how we get along with people and how we serve others, and those are the real things that count in the long run. God bless you, and happy birthday, and welcome to the rest of you, the Army, Navy, as well as the foreign officers especially. Grateful to have you with us to learn a little bit about how we operate, or how I try to operate. Happy birthday, good luck, and God bless. Bye. Hi there, everybody. This is Gail Halverson, Air Force retired. I want to welcome the Air Force a happy birthday, and best wishes to all the other services that gives us such wonderful support. Makes a full team. Thank you. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. At 'em, boys, give her the gun.
Air power is awesome. Before we depart today, I'd like to personally invite each of you, as you depart out of the back of Bliss Hall, we have cake and coffee for each of you. But before we do that, let's stand and together proudly sing the world's greatest Air Force song. Thanks for joining us today, and happy birthday to our beloved United States Air Force.